The following show is dedicated to Mia Park and Barbara Yang. The views expressed on the following show may not be those of the hosts, guests, or WSPN Skidmore Radio. Talk Saratoga is produced by Saratoga Broadcasting Incorporated and may not be reproduced in part or in whole unless expressed written approval is given. Now, here are the hosts of Talk Saratoga, Rick Thompson and a Saratoga All-Star.
Good morning and welcome to Talk Saratoga. I'm your host, Rick Thompson. You're listening to WSPN 91.1 FM Skidmore Radio. And I want to welcome our guest this morning, who's a fantastic person, a real go-getter, Kim Weir from Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. She is the Director of Strategic Growth. And she's going to tell us all about Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Rick. It's so great to be here today. Happy Saturday.
It's always good to see you here. And before we get into having you tell us about Therapeutic Horses, the organization, I want to thank you. I haven't seen you that much this summer at the track. I used to see you almost every day, and you were really busy with your role in this. But I want to thank you for showing myself and Mia around the farm that chilly, drizzly day in April.
Yes.
And I had read in the paper. She had a lot of fun. She
Great.
really did. She loves horses. But I see that you added a new building.
Yes, we sure did.
On the farm. So I cut the article out and I mailed it to her.
Oh, wonderful.
And hopefully she read it.
Wonderful.
But, so tell us about the organization.
Well, first of all, you were very, very welcome. And it was such a pleasure for me to take you and Mia around. That was definitely not the Kodak picture day. That was not the best. But you were hardy. You proved yourselves to be a hardy duo because it was cold and it was wet. The horses, that's what we say about horses, is they are impervious to the weather. They were having a perfectly fine day, but we were frozen to the core.
But the only thing that bothered me about that was Mia had gone up and pet the horse. And, of course, you were there petting the horse. I went up to pet the horse, and it took off.
Oh.
and that happened like the two horses. And I was standing by the fence talking to you and Mia. And unbeknownst to me, there was a horse coming towards me and nibbled on my ear and put her head on my shoulder, and I had a picture taken.
Yes, well.
And so there is proof that there is a horse that likes me, because we had gone to the McMahon farm. I took her maybe 3 weeks later, and they had, it was their annual meeting, and a friend of mine is part owner of a horse, but they had an open house, so I took her there, and they were foaling. Yeah, sure. And so she got to see the baby horses. They brought some of them out, and the same thing happened to me. Yeah. They all went up to her and Jen, that friend of mine, went up to the fence and pet the horses. I walked up nice and went to pet the horse, and boom, took off. There must be something about me.
Well, we can talk about that, but I want you to really focus on the one that came up behind you and nibbled on your ear and put its head on your shoulder, because that is focus on that one, and maybe we'll do it again, and we'll see how we can make that happen again.
We'll fly Mia over here and get her to go again so she can laugh at me.
Well, it was a great day, and it was a pleasure to share it with both of you. And I'm glad to. I know that was early days for me. I'd only started at THS sort of late January, so I was still getting my sea legs in terms of taking people around the farm. I've now been doing that sort of nonstop since I saw you last, and it's been a great treat. I'd love to bring you out to see the new building. It was September 4th that we did our big ribbon cutting, so thank you for clipping the article. That's going to give us space and a place to do our work all year long without so much of a weather impact. Again, the horses never mind the weather, but the people do. So we'll talk about that. Okay. But how is Mia doing? I really know she's gone back home.
Great. She's back in college over in Hawaii, and she's at home, and she's got a huge family. So she's doing really well. Great. and just wish her the best. Of course, she's missed here.
Yep.
But she did like the area. She did love Saratoga and the area because of the weather.
Yep.
I mean, I look at the weather forecast over there, and every day it's 83 degrees and sunny, and it's like, I don't know.
Yep.
I think that would get a little bit tired, but she liked to change the seasons.
Sure. Well, as a San Diego girl, I definitely relate to that. I grew up in 70 degrees every day and sunny, and it's certainly not like we complained about it, but it really changes your way of looking at time. Because here in Saratoga, even this morning, I don't know if the folks, I know you saw the sunrise because you were up getting here early today, and I saw it, and it was so magnificent, but it's also so much later. And all these things that really happen in Saratoga with the seasons help you, I think, mark time and know what the season is for the type of activity that we're doing. And I feel much more in touch with the nature and the weather and the seasons than I ever did, growing up in a place like San Diego or Hawaii, where it's kind of the same all the time. It's a little bit disorienting, I think.
It is different, but it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, for me, there's no other place I want to be. But in any case, let's get into what is the Therapeutic Horses program.
Sure. Well, it is such a joy to talk about it and to share it with you, but also with all of your listeners this morning, because we are a local organization. We're only, I think when I picked you up here in April, we're like 7 minutes from Skidmore or something. We're just straight east of town out on Route 29. And we are a nonprofit. We're a charitable organization that are just about 6 years old now, founded in 2018. With a twofold purpose. First and foremost, we are a horse farm that is providing sanctuary to our herd of horses who happen to be standard bred and thoroughbred horses. Those are the two breeds that we take care of, because those two breeds, as you and I know, are bred to be racehorses. Mm-hmm. So they are, the horses that come to us are retired to us by their owners when their racing careers are over, and when any other career they may have pursued as a horse. Horses do have careers just like people. So when their racing career is over, many of them go on to do other things. Some of them go on to be brood mares and have foals like the ones you saw at McMahon. Some of them go on to be riding horses like the ones that I grew up on. They have lots of things. We can talk about all the different things horses can do because they are bred to be athletes. They want a job just like we do. Right. But at some point, sort of like all of us, they reach a point where they really can't do that thing that was their career, and they need a safe, peaceful, happy, calm place to live out their days. And that's what we do at Therapeutic Horses Saratoga. We provide that sanctuary farm at the end of their active career. And that's a whole lot of the work we do is focused on their health and happiness. A whole lot of the effort we do as a charity is to raise money to make sure we can do that and make sure that they're safe. But the second part of our mission is what, really gets my engine going. I love these horses very, very much and believe that horses have given me every good thing in my life since a very young age of 5, including friends like you, Rick. But the second part we do, besides taking care of the horses, is to then really work on how do we share the horses with our community. Because just like that horse that nibbled on your ear, I bet you can imagine what that felt like even today.
Oh, yeah.
There is a warm, glowing sense of happiness, of joy, of peace that comes when you're connected to a horse. We call that, because there's actually a term for that, as simple as it is, it's the horse-human connection. And it's a real thing. One could Google it if you were at home listening to us, because that magical thing of the horse-human connection has been in human society since time began. Horses and humans have been connected as early as those cave drawings that we've all seen and that are ancient things. Sure. These two species, not to go off on too deep a tangent on a Saturday morning, but these two species have been connected longer than most other species in the world have ever been documented. So anyway, we know that horses and humans rely on each other. We have protected each other. We have gone to wars together. We have built civilization together. And today, bringing it back home again, at Therapeutic Horses Saratoga, we want to rekindle that connection, because it makes people feel better and gives them a sense of peace and calm and quiet confidence that comes when a 1,200-pound animal sneaks up behind you, sort of taps you on the shoulder and gives you a little love nibble. That's you feel stronger and better because that horse has got your back. Exactly. So that's what we do. And I don't get into the details of how we do that, but at the end of the day, our twofold purpose as an organization is take care of these horses every day every morning, every night, feed them, care for them, and then share them with the community, because that wellness that we can offer the community is a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah. I never, Skidmore has a riding program.
Yes, they sure do.
For students. And when I used to pick up the students from the barn to bring them back to school here, I never once saw one frowning. And when they got on the bus, I'd always say, how was class? And they'd always say, great. So there is that connection, and there is that, I'm going to call it joy, because I've never ridden a horse, but that joy of them taking that class and, coming out, not maybe too happy going back to classes, but it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it's you described it well. It doesn't require, that's something that's important to clarify as we get into sort of who we are and what we do. Our horses are no longer being ridden. This is really the specific part of their career has ended where they can no longer be ridden. But their ability to make us feel better about the world is no less for not being able to ride them. So all of the work we do at THS, which is a little easier, slightly easier to say than Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga a bunch of times, THS is to really only do groundwork. That's what we call that. When you're interacting with a horse on the ground, no saddles or bridles are needed, no skills are needed. All you bring is you. So all of our guests, just like you and Mia who came to the farm that day, and all of the folks who come to our farm for each of our programs, they don't need to bring any skill or knowledge about horses. They just bring themselves, and the horses do the giving, and they give what they do so naturally, which is they respond to your emotions, and they are really, because racehorses in particular, I think all horses, equines have this common connection to humans, but racehorses are really specifically good at connecting because they were bred just like out at McMahon Thoroughbreds. And we love McMahon, by the way. McMahon is sponsoring our party next Saturday, which I know we'll get to that. So a big shout out to the McMahon Thoroughbreds of Saratoga. We're very grateful. But the horses that are bred for horse racing or bred for any purpose that humans use them for, they look to humans with great expectation and they believe in the good of us. They believe that we are there to take care of them. They have been proven since the first human hands touched them when they reached Earth, which is often before they even hit the ground. They are counting on humans for their care, for their food, for everything they need. And so they're sort of hardwired to look at us hopefully and to see the best in us. Now, we can immediately prove them wrong, and people do it all the time, unfortunately. But for the most part, they think the best, and it's up to us to sort of assure them that that's true. So it's really a fun place. I'm just so glad that you and Mia did come that day. I would love for you to come on a warmer, sunnier day and to see that same, who knows which horse it will be, but I will guarantee that if we stand quietly enough, maybe when you're not thinking about it, which is what happened that day, when you were looking at me, you stopped feeling nervous and that horse came right up to you. Yeah. So it's fun to share that over and over again every day at the farm.
And and I will be out because that was the first time I've ever been out to see you at either farm.
Yeah.
And at McMahon, and I probably only did it because of Mia.
Mm-hmm. But you can,
my allergies.
Yeah, it's that time of year. That's okay.
But and I probably would never have visited them, but they really did prove to me the importance of the human-horse relationship. Because I only see them at the track when I'm working there in the summer, and they're running as fast as they can to get that jackpot.
Yeah.
But it was great, and I think one of the horses that we saw, I think you told me was born with a defect that she only had one eye, and it was awesome to me because that didn't stop the horse from doing a thing.
No.
And it's amazing. Yeah. And, I'm sorry that when I was younger that I didn't take riding lessons to get that relation with a horse and a relationship.
Well, we're lucky to be here, that's for sure. I'm lucky to be a part of this and to have you help me tell the story, because what Saratoga has is has many great things. As you said, you and I both, we wouldn't want to live anywhere else. There are so many wonderful things about this community, but I'm just going to boldly say that Therapeutic Horses Saratoga is one of those wonderful things because it's not just the horses that we see, which we live in a community where we at least see horses a lot, but to actually have a pathway where you can come experience them is really what has kept me busy all summer, and that's why I didn't see you as much.
I know.
But I will gladly tell you what I was up to this summer. How do you think the summer was from your vantage?
It was a good summer for racing.
Yeah, sure
we
was.
didn't have, I think, one breakdown, which, thank goodness, was a miracle, and we needed that. The weather sometimes didn't cooperate. I saw all the people that I normally do.
Well, they saw you, which made their day.
Well, they make my day too. I mean, it's like I always say the first week is like a family reunion because you get the owners that come back, and we're up there every day, and the trainers that sit in my area where I am, and I'm right up from the winner's circle, so I get a chance to see everybody. It was good for me. It really was.
Good.
When I got the job, the captain had said, back when I got the job, and I think I've been there for like 12 years now, in the summer. But he said, I see you had your own businesses. And I said, yes. And he said, you like talking to people? And I said, well, And he said, well, I got a perfect spot for you. It was vacated this year. And I'm lucky because I love that spot.
That's a great spot.
And I love talking.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought it was a great summer. I mean,
it was.
For me, it was a very different summer because of this new role. But it was just, boy, I'm so grateful to all the hard work that the team at NYRA did to make sure that the racing was safer. And that we had that incredible summer of the horses doing their best and staying healthy and happy.
I've always been pretty lucky, and 99% of it is because of you and how you are. I mean, I was talking with somebody, and they said she's always so bubbly, and I said, yeah, that's part of her nature. But when you were with the retired Thoroughbred Foundation. There was always great support from owners and trainers that want to take care of the aftercare.
They do.
Of the horses.
Yeah. That movement has really come a long way. I mean, long before I started in this, the fact that there's a concerted effort across the industry at all levels to support thoroughbred aftercare. And we at THS are also an accredited organization within the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, and we take that very seriously because these animals give their whole heart to us. They don't know any other way to do it, but on the racetrack, they give us their absolute all, and it's up to us to take care of them when their careers are over. So we're a smaller part than I used to be, at the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, which I loved that work. We were taking care of a great big herd of some 400 horses. At THS, we have 27 horses that are our herd. It's a much, it's no less work, let me tell you, for our farm. I used to visit our farms at TRF and see how hard the work was, but now I live and go to the farm every day and watch the effort and energy and love and care that go into each one of them. It's kind of like a whole bunch of 1,200-pound newborns, right? Because they
1,200 pounds of baby.
Yeah, they really are. No matter what their age, they do need all those things. Although it is also fun. You mentioned that comparing it to the horses we see at the racetrack. Our Saratoga community, all of our neighbors who are listening today, many of our neighbors only see them, in the paddock when they're bouncing on their toes, they're glistening, they're ready, they're roaring. I always call them fire-breathing dragons. They're ready to go out there and go their full speed. And they're beautiful at that moment. It's like an athlete at peak condition. It's like watching the Olympics, like we all did this summer. You're seeing them at the top of their game. But then to be able to sort of show the other side, which is that these animals aren't like that by nature. They are not warriors by nature. They are prey animals. To get into the science again, they are the largest domesticated prey animals, PREY, in the world. And that's an interesting thing to think about because it's so darn big. Many people are a little bit nervous around horses. They're a little afraid of them, and that's not wrong because they are big and they can accidentally hurt you. But the key is they will only accidentally hurt you because they are not predators. And there's just a lot of interesting dynamics that go into that. But when we see them at the racetrack, many people think, oh my gosh, look at them. They're like, fire-breathing dragons. Right. You come to our farm and you see what it looks like when they've completely relaxed. There's no more starting gate. There's no more crowd screaming, but they're just interested in you as a person. So Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's, I mean, not to get off on a tangent about pets, but all pets rely on their owners to take care of them.
Yeah.
And there's not much, except for cats probably that run loose, but pets, and you have to take care of them, and that's why they become like family, because they depend on us, and we want to take care of them.
Yeah.
So, and horses are no different. And like you said, they're 1,200-pound babies, which they are. I mean, once the aftercare programs are like fantastic.
Yeah, they really are.
Until I met you, I never even thought about that, but they're great. Now, we talked about a little bit. Therapeutic is not only for the horses, but for different groups of people.
Yes.
That need that. I mean, it's like in nursing homes. They'll bring a dog, they'll bring a pet in, and it makes the residents, feel good.
Yep.
And I think the horses are the same way, correct?
Yeah. So that's interesting. It's a good, yes, absolutely. So let me sort of jump into how we do what we do, because I will also say, just for the folks who are listening, that we are an available resource to the community, but we are not a open to the public every day environment. We are just like a kind of like a wellness practice, or even a spa, dare I say, where you would book an appointment to come to us, like Rick and Mia did. But the therapeutic part of our name is actually not referring to any therapy that we particularly give to the horses. It is actually that we are using the horses as equine therapy animals, or that's their job. Every animal, especially horses, need to have a purpose, and their purpose is to be helpful tools in the process of therapy offered to the humans who visit us. So our first program, I maybe just jump right into that, Rick, is sort of what do we do out there. Is the first thing that we were created to do as an organization is to have our horses work in partnership with a psychological practice, which is called ECS Psychological Services. And that's a completely separate business. It is a mental health practice founded by our founder, Dr. Aaron Sisk. And that practice of therapists, they're all licensed clinicians, they're licensed mental health professionals, they're fully credentialed, governed by HIPAA and all that good stuff, because that's a completely different business. We, as a charity, are a partner, almost a tool in their toolbox, so that the therapist and their client can meet up and walk down the hill that you've seen to our farm. And then together, those two folks will go into a paddock with one of our team. Our team members are called equine specialists. They are specifically trained to help a therapist with horses. The therapists know how to use the horses in therapy, but they don't necessarily know how to take care of horses. They're not horse people. That's what our team does. They're kind of the connector. So you will have a therapist, a client, and an equine specialist, and they will walk directly onto the farm and into the paddock to conduct a therapy session. That's called, it's kind of a long name, but it's called an equine assisted psychotherapy session, EAP. That is the original reason that we were created as a charity, was to have our horses as retired racehorses be cared for as an aftercare organization, and to be able to start raising money so that we could provide that same experience to populations that otherwise would never go to a therapy practice. It's a vibrant therapy practice for those who come either through insurance or paying for their own therapy. But there's a lot of folks who wouldn't come, and that would be starting with our veterans in the community. That's really not the only population we serve, but the first population that Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga was able to bring to the farm, because we put in an application and we were approved for a grant from the Veterans Administration. And that program we call the Freedom Reign program. And it means that all veterans, all of the service members who've given so much of their lives to their service to our country, can come and have that therapy experience with a licensed clinician, and it will be at no cost to them.
That's excellent. And you talk about the veterans as being the first, which is great, because almost every veteran has baggage they carry.
Absolutely.
And I think the therapy that you offer is part of the recuperation.
Yeah.
And they may never lose that baggage, but it's got to be fantastic for them.
It is. It's particularly good, or useful for that population and others like them who have a hard time. And maybe this is really all of us who have difficult things in our past, but veterans in particular are have a difficult time talking about what happened, and sometimes talking about it isn't helpful. Right. And horses don't require that at all. For the key of our equine assisted psychotherapy, there's a lot of methodology and training that goes into our therapists knowing how to do this. This isn't just sort of something they figured out on their own. But the key is that it's very experiential. It's not about looking back on what has happened. It's about what's happening in this particular moment right now, and talking about that. And that relieves everyone of the pressure of going back through the difficult times. So there's another population that's particularly useful for, and that would be young people, children in particular, children who have experienced different sorts of trauma. Unfortunately, it's also very difficult and often not helpful to have them speak about that, and we're going to relive it. But if we can work with young people, and the practice that Erin founded all those years ago, back in 2005 is when she started her practice at ECS, she focused on child psychology. That's sort of the backbone of the therapy practice, is children and families. And the horses are just as good with kids as they are with veterans, because they don't have to say anything about what happened. They just have to be right here, right now, and the horse will respond to that. So that program is sort of the key. It's why our name is what it is. Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga is we're the horse part of an equine assisted psychotherapy session. We can only do that in partnership. So we always like to be super clear that we are not therapists. I am not a therapist. None of the team at THS are, but we partner with that program. And it is, for those who listen to you and I talk many times over the past years, the model's very similar to what I used to talk about with the Second Chances program at the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, just in that was a partnership between a horse charity and the correctional system. In our case, we are a horse charity partnering with the psychological practice.
Yeah, that's great, because I know a lot of times something happens in a person's life. I mean, I had a tragic thing happen in my life, and you don't want to talk about it. People say, "Oh, do you want to go? You go for therapy?" No, I don't want to sit around and talk about it. It's not going to help me.
Yeah.
But a program like this, like you said, where you just feel comfortable being around an animal, and they don't offer any advice that you say is crazy.
No. No.
Excuse me.
No.
And that's a fantastic thing. And like you said, you have groups that really need that influence around them to feel comfortable and forget what happened for a little while. I mean, you read things like during World War II, there were a lot of movies made, and people went to the movies a lot to get away from what was going on in World War II. It was kind of a relaxing period for them.
Yeah, just a little break.
And things like that happen in our lives. So if this is a great thing, especially today, I think you would get a lot of kids and students because life is getting hard for them.
Yeah.
They don't know how to cope. I think a lot of it is because of social media and the internet now, which we didn't have. We could voice our thing, talk to somebody face to face. So I think this would be a great program for them too, to kind of relax and take in what.
Anxiety, unfortunately, is like the epidemic that is everywhere, and I don't have a sense of how it compares to the days past, but it is certainly everywhere, and there's a lot of causes for it, and the things that the horses do is we it's like a grounding experience of just being in this moment when this great big animal with those beautiful big brown eyes looks you in the eye. There's a sense of calm and peace that we try to create, so that just like the movies, as you described, it's a little break from that anxiety. Like, remember what this feels like. Remember what that felt like, even when that horse nibbled on your ear, and go, I can do that again. I can make that feeling happen again. If I even know that it's possible for this moment, I know that I can get there again. And there's a little sense of hope. So that is what you said is the girls and the students you would pick up at Skidmore. That's what us crazy horse girls, we've been experiencing that since the first time we were with horses. And it's really cool for me at this point in my career to be able to find and reach out to communities that have never had it, including friends like you who've never had it, and say, this is available to you. So for THS, that first pillar is that equine assisted psychotherapy. I'm just going to jump in and tell you that if therapy isn't something that you're seeking, the really great thing about my new home, the farm at THS, is that we also have ways for the community at large to engage. So the second thing that I'd love to chat about for a second is a program we call Horseplay.
Before I get into it,
I'll leave you hanging.
I have to do a promo here for the station. You're listening to WSPN 91.1 FM, and this is Skidmore Radio. And the phone number in the studio, if you want to ask him a question, 518-580-5783, 518-580-5783. So if you have a question about the program or you want to ask him a question, she's got all the answers. So let's talk about
horseplay. Thank you. Well, I'd like, for the record, it is possible to stop me once I get on a roll. I like people to know that. I get excited talking about these things, and I love that we have the opportunity for folks to call in because I love questions. I do not have all the answers, though. Let's make sure that untruth is corrected But horseplay is really a wonderful way. In fact, actually, I'm leaving the studio here this morning, and I'm greeting a couple guests at the farm at 10 o'clock because we have a horseplay session scheduled. So let me just say what that is, because that is something that can be scheduled by anybody. And the way I will set it up is that if the equine-assisted psychotherapy session that you and I just talked about with someone working with a therapist, that is the equivalent of going to the doctor to go have a clinician help you with a problem, an issue, then horseplay is like going to the spa, maybe at Roosevelt Spa or Sacred Spa, one of these wonderful spas around Saratoga, and booking a massage. So you may be going because you want to feel better. You may even be going because you have something that's kind of bothering you, but you're not going to a doctor. You're going for a wellness session. And there's a really good analogy between the two. One at THS is a therapy session with a doctor. One is horseplay, which is like a massage. Now, don't worry, the horse is not like giving you a massage. But what you're doing is you're booking an hour, just like you would book a massage or maybe an acupuncture session, and you're going to book an hour to have that horse-human connection. That is really as simple as it is. You will arrive at our farm. You'll come in the two white doors, just like you and Nia did. You will meet with one of my colleagues who's one of our equine care team. All these folks know our horses intimately. They're taking care of them every day. And they're going to walk with you right into the paddock. Just like I described earlier, the difference is there's no therapist involved. Now it's just you and one of our team and the horses. And you're going to get to do whatever feels fun to you, whatever you're trying to accomplish. Some folks come because they're actually just afraid of horses. And they love them. They're beautiful, but they are afraid. That is a very common experience. And we are absolutely well positioned for that because our horses are equine therapy animals. They're we know exactly which ones to take you into. If someone's fearful and they say, I'm afraid, we are like, we know exactly. It's like the masseuse who says, oh, you got a little tension in your shoulders? I know exactly what to do. That is exactly what horseplay does. Now, it isn't always about a fear. We have folks kind of like me before I worked at the farm. I just miss horses. I talk about them all the time, but I don't have ready access to them until I started at THS. So I would have been someone who absolutely would have booked an hour of horseplay just so that I could go out there and rub my nose in their neck and just smell their horsey goodness. Right. And we've got the perfect horse for that. So, folks come out there with their children a lot because we have a lot of folks who say, oh, when my grandkids come to visit me for the summer, I'm going to book one of those sessions because I want to show kids what a farm is like because I grew up on a farm and my kid lives in the city and they never see it. So whatever your reason, honestly, there's no wrong reason to book a horseplay. It is $50 an hour. It's kind of comparable to a massage. Right. It's probably less expensive than a massage. And you book it online. You can actually go to our website, which will be my first time to give you the website. It's very easy. It's Saratoga.org. Yep. And you'll find it under services. You'll go look for horseplay, and there's a calendar. It feels so much like booking a massage. I can't tell you how much I like that analogy. And we offer them Monday through Friday, occasionally on a Saturday, like today. And we offer them all year long. So that's the one I really want to plug because it is all the good stuff we talked about, all of that horse-human connection, but brought to a one-on-one level so that you can actually have an hour of that horse connection. And then people who do them, I'm not saying we don't require this, but some folks say, that was so fun, I'm going to come once a month. And
neat.
People will do that just like a massage. So horseplay is the most accessible way. And you know, like I said earlier, you do need to schedule them, but they are available all year long. And the horses would love for your listeners to come out and see them.
Yeah, that's really neat because, like you said, when I went out there, I was a little afraid. And it's funny how they can sense things that humans are feeling.
Acutely.
Now, I mean, I hate to keep bringing Mia up, but she can handle animals like no one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I just, you know, we would be downtown having hot chocolate or something, and somebody would walk by with a big dog, and she would put her hand out, palm down, and the dog would sniff her hand, and she had him.
Yep.
The dog just went up to her, and she had the dog. I mean, it was amazing. Now, me, I wouldn't think of getting an animal like that to like me. I would put my hand out and try and scratch the back of her neck, and, of course, then I would lose her or him. But it's amazing how they can react to the feelings of the person that they're with there.
They are. I do believe that is their superpower. It is. It's finely attuned. It comes back to that prey animal thing, and that they're assessing us all the time.
Yeah.
Are you my friend or are you my foe, or are you nervous? Even more than foe, I would also kind of underscore that because they're so dependent on us for their safety, they look to us as humans as their protectors. So the minute we are nervous or afraid, they are 10 times more nervous and afraid, because we're supposed to be the ones that are in charge. And I think about this. You and I talked about it years ago when I had my big adventure at the racetrack when I was a part-time, short-time hot walker.
And that was during COVID too, but you had to get on the track somehow because
I did.
No one was allowed on the track except the owners to watch their horse race, and then they had to get off. That was funny.
That was a unique experience, and it did nothing but underscore to me, as a kid who at that point wasn't a kid at that point, and I'm certainly not now, but as a person who'd been with horses really more than most of my life since I was about 8 years old, I knew that horses could read whether you were nervous, and I knew objectively, intellectually, that they would know if I was afraid. But that was not the same as then living it and practicing it and having that fire-breathing dragon on the end of a lead line and trying to think, how am I going to keep this creature that wants to go rocketing off into outer space? How do I possibly keep this horse walking around in a circle when I'm on the ground? I was used to being a rider, so I was used to having a lot more control on the back of the horse. And but it really all came down to this one seemingly simple thing. It's not simple, but it is seemingly simple to say, if you're calm, they're calm. So I spent every morning walking around in a circle, turning to the left, thinking, I must be calm. I might not. And they would read. They could read me like a book. They knew when I was just faking it. When I was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm." They know that that's not.
And I think you talk about being a hot walker. I think they're the ones that keep the horses calm.
They sure do.
And they have a great purpose, and they work a lot, and they're up early in the morning.
Oh, they are. They're right now. They're out there. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many parts of taking care of a horse that when they know they can depend on humans, like you were saying, that they're in the palm of your hands.
Yep.
They're very good that way. Before we go too much more into other programs, because I know you have programs for children.
Yep.
And the field trip program, but I want to get into, because we always save what's happening at the end, and sometimes we run out of time. But you've got something big coming up here pretty soon on the 5th of October, which isn't that far away.
A week from today.
Why don't you tell us about the fundraiser? Because you got some special people coming.
We do.
This.
Well, and as a music fan, as I know you are, as we sit here in the cool WSPN radio station here today, we are having a charity benefit concert at the farm, and this is one of the things that I'm just giddy about being at this organization now that's right here in Saratoga with a farm where we can invite not only all of our friends, but famous bands to our farm. So the charity benefit concert is October 5th, a week from today. and it's 3 bands, and we're opening with a local favorite that I'm sure many have listened to around Saratoga. Rich Ortiz is sort of setting the stage, and then followed by, we kick it up a notch with a really fun local band called the Wallies.
Okay.
And we love our friend Walt Brisnack, who's lead guitar and vocals, and he's got a tremendous singer with him, Gianna Robustino. So they get us sort of off the chairs and onto our feet so that we are ready for the headliner. And this is just amazing, and this is just exciting. But we are indeed welcoming the one and only Kevin Bacon and his brother Michael. They are known as the Bacon Brothers, and they have a 6-piece band. So it's not just the two guys; it's a full band, rock and roll band, and those guys, we always laugh about the whole 6 degrees of separation. Everyone next Saturday is going to be down to 1 degree of separation with Kevin Bacon because he is playing at the farm. So he will be playing his music to all of our guests and to all of our horses, because we're setting up the stage right where you and I were with Mia, right there in the middle of all the pastures. We have the stage actually arrives on Wednesday, and it's like a full tilt, big deal stage with a tent and chairs. And last year, the organization, before I was there, but I attended the event they hosted last year, was also a charity benefit concert, and it featured John Oates from Hall & Oates.
From Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
Because I think he lives in the, not immediate area, but up north.
Not too far. It helps us to get these famous people if they don't live too far away. Yeah. So last year was John Oates. That was the first year ever for this young organization to bring like a famous rock star to their farm, and it was really fun. And so we decided it was so fun that we're going to do it again. My colleague Meg Kolaski is responsible for all of this, and I told her yesterday we were working on doing our walkthrough for the parking. We are sold out. That's the only downside of talking about this event, is that we are fully sold out because this is been something we've been talking about all summer, and we want to make sure we have enough room we have plenty of room for people because it's a big farm, as you saw, but we have a lot of room for parking also. Don't be worried if you have a ticket. We have room for your car, but we also realized we needed to cut off tickets so that we don't end up in a situation where we don't have enough parking. But we were walking around this farm yesterday, and I said to Meg, who is my teammate, our manager for development and events, I said, Meg, you're really putting on a music festival next Saturday. We've been calling it a concert, but with the 3 bands and all the moving parts, it's really going to be a fun evening. We also have food trucks from some of our local favorites, and we will have silent auction items. Several local artists, too, in particular, Janet Crawford and Frankie Flores, have given us very special items that will be in our silent auction. Janet Crawford is a tremendous equine artist. If you like equine art and you're listening to this, I encourage you to look up her website or her Instagram. But she actually painted an original oil on canvas of a horse at our farm whose name is Spirit.
That's neat. Yeah.
So we are going to have a big day next Saturday. So wherever you are, I'm afraid I'm not in the business of selling tickets at this point on today because it is sold out. But you can know that we are going to really raise the roof here in Saratoga, combining music and horses and fun at our concert on Saturday.
Well, the other good thing about putting this on the air today, even though this is sold out, they can always look forward to next year.
Absolutely.
And get in early.
Yeah.
By going to the website, which is thsaratoga.org.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to, I'm sure you're going to have somebody great next year, too, with a couple bands that warm up for them.
Yeah.
But now, will the attendees have a little access to Kevin Bacon?
Well, what I'm telling all of our guests is that we are so excited about this. We're excited about all of our guests coming, and we want all of our guests to have an extraordinary, amazing experience. But I also am saying with great sincerity, we want Kevin Bacon and his brother to also have an extraordinary experience at our farm. So that maybe, and I'm not saying he will or won't, but maybe we'll get him back again.
Sure.
That being the case, he is our special guest, and so we have pretty limited access, other than he will be playing right there front row. It's pretty close venue. It's much smaller than SPAC, but we don't expect there will be any one-on-one time with him. That'll be all up to him and not anything we're expecting him to do.
And I heard he's very nice.
He seems
very
incredibly down to earth. If you another Instagram for those on social media, media. We have all, of course, been enjoying his Instagram now that we've known he's our band for most of the summer. And he has a farm. He and his wife, Kira Sedgwick, have a farm. He plays his guitar to the donkeys. Anyway, they just seem like our kind of people. We are so excited for them to come see our farm, because as much as we want to show off the farm and the horses, we also want to show off all of our great guests who just love the horses so much. We think that puts us all in the same boat together.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you have these. It's a great draw for the organization, and people look forward to it and look forward to it next year and get it early.
I think it's got some momentum, and so for all the guests who are coming, they will get to experience a little bit. Actually, I can offer more likely to have more one-on-one experience with some of our horses than probably Kevin Bacon.
Sure.
But the horses will be right there. They're not leaving for this concert, so everyone coming to the farm gets to experience.
You may have a good chorus of horses singing along.
Yes,
with them,
they might.
I'd like to know about the children's field trip programs that you have or that you offer.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're starting to use the phrase a little more frequently of farm experience, because there's different groups around the community that are seeking out that kind of farm. Be on a farm, be around animals, be around horses, be around. We have a lot of dogs too. So the farm experience program, for kids and children and school groups, we call it Laughter and Learning. And it is really set up for teachers out there in the community who may be listening, or youth groups in the community that want to give a group of kids, really any age, as long as they're sort of mobile. I think we don't have necessarily a minimum age. But if you want to bring your group of students, we will organize usually it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's honestly about the attention span of anybody at this point. And we'll coordinate a visit. So the group comes and we will set up a set of activities. The pond is very popular, especially for really little kids, because just feeding the fish in the pond is pretty entertaining. Yeah. You're surrounded by horses. We'll give the younger kids or older kids a chance to interact with our miniature ponies, who are the only 2 horses in our herd that weren't once upon a time race horses, but they are very good therapists and very good with all groups, older, younger. We even do some fun games where we teach kids something we call it muck-a-duck, but it's a fun and easy way to learn how to clean a stall, which is a great skill to learn if you want to understand farm life and cleaning up after the animals. So the way that organizes, we have also on the website at thsaratoga.org under services, you'll see our list of things. Currently it's called team building, but if there's an inquiry for farm experiences, folks can fill out a little questionnaire, tell us about your group. And the way that we do ask for a minimum donation for a group that comes out, and it's usually something very nominal, like a $20 a kid, just so that we prepare and allocate time. That's a donation to the charity. So we would love for school groups, especially now that school's back in session here in late September. And we'll do them all year long, because to tie this back to that new arena that we mentioned earlier, Rick, we can now do a lot of our activities. And when groups come to visit us, even during the winter, we'll be able to give a lot of fun, interactive experiences in the weather-controlled environment of our indoor arena. It's a great big arena. So we would love for schools and teachers to think about us and to go to the website, thsaratoga.org. Look for that team building link at this point and fill out the form for the farm experience. Yeah. Education about the farm, education about the land, what it's like to work on a farm. These are all the themes that we are glad to cover, and teachers can kind of tell us what what curricular point are they trying to make, and we can modify.
Well, I have I always give you crazy ideas.
I love crazy ideas.
And but I think it would be good for you to put a brochure together and give it to the schools to put it out maybe like in January or February, so that teachers can plan maybe a spring field trip, because they all have field trips.
Yeah, they do.
And if you put it out early enough, they can plan maybe using that rather than thinking about where they want to go or what they want to do.
That's that's not crazy at all, Rick. That's a great idea.
In every school, high school, and all we have a lot of elementary schools around here, and even up north, Glens Falls, South Glens Falls. It may be something to do early enough to get it on their schedule if they want to do that. And
I think that's another piece of being a charity doing this, is that we are also, there's a lot of organizations, foundations that want to foster farm education and experiential things for students who are not getting that connection to the land and connection to animals. So we are also able to do raise some grant funding for that, and we have 2 grants currently that really have a focus on bringing kids to the horses that wouldn't otherwise get that experience. So we can do the fundraising. That's what I do most of the time with my energy, is to raise money so that then we can provide those experiences and make the barrier very low. I love the idea of reaching out to the schools, but because you mentioned it before we went on air, Rick, I want to just take the bit and run with the fact that we are at the Skidmore radio station. And I know that the Skidmore College has had a relationship with Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga in the past, and I know that Dr. Aaron Sisk knows folks at Skidmore, so I know that's true. I would love to put out a call to any of the horsey gals and girls that are listening today, that if you are interested in volunteering at the farm or participating in internships, those are other kinds of relationships we would love to foster, and would love to start rekindle a conversation. I think that we did these things in the past and haven't pursued them in the last couple months just for being busy. But we do think that that's another way to look at getting more folks to the farm and experiencing it.
Definitely. And, I think Skidmore is always open to having relationships and internships.
Yep.
So that would be a great resource. Let's talk about volunteering, and every nonprofits need volunteers. That's the backbone of a good program.
Absolutely. So,
and I'm sure you're exactly the same as every other nonprofit, that you need volunteers. So why don't we talk about, what is involved in volunteering and internships?
Yeah, well, I'm delighted to do it, because it's another piece that I've just loved about my new role, is that we, as an organization, long before I got there, really, really embraced the value of service and connection to the community through volunteers. That we all know at the end of the day, we have one most precious resource. While we are always working to gather our pennies as resources, we also only have so many hours on Earth. And so time is the most precious gift that anyone can give us. And THS really, really appreciates volunteers. There are, and I've always had a volunteer bent in my life. I love being a volunteer. I love being told what to do just as much as I like organizing a volunteer program. But I've been able to jump in and support the existing program and expand it with some other opportunities. So first and foremost, we are able to offer that horse-human connection to our volunteers through a horse care volunteer program. I mean, it's a big farm, as you saw, Rick, and it's 27 horses that need to be fed every day. So we are very open to people coming to volunteer with us if and only if they are willing to learn how to help take care of our horses. I mean, it's an educational program in its own way. I actually think our volunteer program falls under the same bucket of ways in which we give people these chances to experience the horses. So we don't require anyone in our horse program to know how to take care of horses. If they do, that's great. But regardless of whether they know about horses, we're going to teach them how to take care of our horses, because there are special horses, there are therapy animals, there's all these particular things that we need to make sure they are safe and feel comfortable. But we really, really not only welcome, but we appreciate and value horse volunteers. So if you are interested, if you are a horsey person who's missed that experience because of life, or you're a person who's always wanted that experience, our volunteer program is for you, with the caveat that you're willing to come and learn. We have a very well thought out, well structured, incredibly organized horse volunteer program. My colleague Polly McComber runs it, and it's so impressive. All I do is celebrate it. To find out about our volunteer program, you go to our website, TH Saratoga, and /volunteer, or go under the contact page. But the good news, I think it's good news, is that we also have opportunities for people who aren't necessarily ready to go, clean paddocks and feed horses or pick hooves. Sure. We, as you said, as a nonprofit, we have lots of other roles for volunteers. And so that's the piece that I've really been building since I started a couple months ago, is to give folks who care about the mission and care about the horses a chance to be involved. And so We have office volunteers who come in and sit at the desk on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They book a session 2 hours at a time. They help us write thank you notes. They help us, on this week, it'll be very busy getting ready for the big event. They're going to be stuffing goodie bags and moving tables. We also have work with our database and research. Many times we involve our outreach volunteers in the community, sitting at tables at fall festivals like we have all around town this time of year. So there's a place for my favorite part about volunteers is that I believe every person who wants to give has a gift to give. The question is to figure out what's the right fit. So we would love for folks who like what we do to explore our volunteer program, and all you need to do to start is to go to our website, thsaratoga.org, look at that volunteer page, and there's a little questionnaire that tells us a little bit about you. And you'll immediately get an email from us, and we'll sort of take you through the journey. You'll hear a lot more from me if you fill out that form.
And, there's a large segment of people, retirees, or people that work part-time that would like to volunteer and be involved in something. And, I mean, what better place to volunteer? And it's not like every day or...
You schedule it, right? It's very, very. We work on a schedule. There's nothing impromptu about the farm. So we definitely have something for just about everyone, and would love for folks to explore that program. Rick, thank you for bringing it up.
Oh, not a problem. We always run out of time and never get everything in. So we have about 3 minutes left, and can you just touch on a little bit about Adopt a Horse?
Yes, so we do, as we talked about Sanctuary, our role is to have our horses with us for the rest of their lives, but they have a job at the farm, which is to be equine therapy animals. And just like all of us as humans in our career, some of our horses get to a point where they say, you know what, this isn't for me. I would like to do more. And we currently have, I think, 3 horses that have said in their horsey way that they'd like to have a little more action in their lives. They would like to have a person who's dedicated to them every day, giving them more activity, more of a job than being a therapy animal. And so it's rare for us to have many horses for adoption. It's not really our bread and butter. But these 3 horses that are on our website have expressed to us that they would like to have their very own mommy and daddy and their very own home. So we'd love for you to look into that. If you are a horse person and you have a barn and a farm and you think you have room in your heart for one more horse, they're pretty special, and we're pretty particular about the adopters, but we would love for you to look into that for the 3 that we think would enjoy that.
Well, Kim, as always, it's a pleasure having you here. And I know you'll be with us many, many more times.
I hope so.
Oh, you will be. And I'm glad you're in your new position. It seems really exciting, and you're basically starting from like the ground floor up. And, I'm glad you built that building so that you can go through the winter and protect the horses a little bit more. And I know we certainly had a great time when we were out there, and I'd encourage anybody to get out there. And I do want to make a comment for people that didn't listen to the show today that may want to hear you. I do put the show on my website, which is SaratogaBroadcasting.com.
Great.
And they can listen to any past show. And I also upload it to YouTube.
Perfect.
So if you know somebody that said, gee, I wish I could I listened to the show, you can tell them.
Great. Thank you, Rick.
Where to go.
That's fantastic.
And, so you're on the... in the air.
Great.
Forever.
Oh, my.
So, yeah. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Rick. Be well, and we'll see you again soon.
I will, and you take care of yourself.